So I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was going to drop something called a bomb box. I remember doing this motion because I put it over here because they're not boxes that are in front of me, they're directly to the side of me, because by the side of me, that means I can focus on the straight and narrow. For example, the running I'm doing, the inspiration that I'm giving, and the feedback I'm getting, and the following I'm getting has been fantastic. And for that, that's what I'm focusing on. But I'm a sufferer with mental health big time. And I'm not talking little bits. I'm a big time mental health patient. And I suffer from autistic traits, ADHD, and I'm also suffering from something called PTSD. And I'm not going to drop that information yet because I'm going to go back in reverse. I'm going to start from more recent times and journey backwards. So I mentioned a few weeks ago I was going to drop a bomb box. And because my father bumped into me, I couldn't really handle about delivering the message. So I thought, focus on the positives. So I look at myself and think, how can I focus on my mental health and make it, how can I make it, a positive thing rather than looking at negative? And there are friends around who know this, and some people know this quite well, and some people are very close to me who know this information, and they're very helpful towards me. And I thank you for that. But I'm going to unveil some information today from where I was 1 year ago. So about a year or so ago, about a year and a half now, it was July last year, I went on a fantastic holiday with someone, and it was a great holiday. That isn't the issue. It was a fantastic time. Fast forward approximately a week from that time, I was under a considerable amount of stress. Little did I even realise, I wasn't even aware I was under this sort of stress, and suddenly I had a black dot appear, kind of like that. And when there's some sort of flash of you in a camera, it goes click, and you get this sort of blurring, flashing sensation. Usually 10, 20 seconds, a minute, it goes. This black dot wouldn't go anywhere, and I couldn't see around this black dot. And I kept looking at my monitor at work. I kept telling people at work, and I kept making myself aware to people who knew me closely, I can't see past this. But my right eye was fine. The left eye had this block. And as the days went on, it didn't get any better, and it got slightly worse. So I asked a authority member in my team, I need to go and have a doctor's appointment to see why this condition is here. Is it a vision issue? Is it something I can't see? I don't know what it is. So off I went, went to opticians. They said, we think you need to go to hospital. I said, hospital? I said, why? I said, well, it isn't down to your ability to read, because all the letters that are written above in the ways, like, the X, the Q, the Y, the Z, whatever they're written in those big, small fonts, you're getting every single answer right. So we don't understand why you're having a trouble. I thought, oh, okay. So went to hospital, booked an appointment for the weekend, and on the Friday at work, there was a meeting held, and some people who had joined the team, like myself, had been signed off as competent, completed, and off they went, but not me. And I took that very badly, because I thought that I was failing, and I had no indication it was a problem. I had no previous meetings say things weren't going very well. I was just very much thinking, why on earth am I not progressing like the rest? Have I done something wrong, or am I doing something incorrect, or am I not doing something right? Never addressed. So anyway, the Saturday comes around, and I then decide to go to the hospital. Up there for 3 hours. First person I saw said to me, don't worry, Mr. Wood, we'll sort it out for you, no problem. We'll get this sorted out. We'll know exactly what the issue is. 3 hours later, I was greeted with we don't know what it is. So I then tried another appointment, which I was told, come back in 3 weeks' time. 3 weeks' time. You do know I have a house to run, a job to attend, and a life to lead. And I can't just randomly have 3 weeks where I can't see properly and just be told that's just the way it goes, because you try looking past a black dot, which of course I haven't mentioned as well, increasingly got worse. So this ball that was like this big, that tiny little big, that sort of much, became bigger. And then suddenly the right eye started to get affected. Over the course of that weekend, it was a hard weekend for me. I couldn't get my confidence up. I was shaking. I was nervous. I was very worried about what was going to happen next, because at work I felt like I was failing, and my sight wasn't there. And my escape, little did I learn from this point, my escape from life was work. Now, people know me from my previous role, in my banking role, know that I worked far too much. I worked so many hours. I would be there at 7:30 in the morning, and I'd leave sometimes at 9:30 on some days. Not every day, but some days. And usually my average working pattern was like 8 a.m. till about 6 p.m, if not further sometimes. That was an average working standard. And long story short, towards the end of my term at Lloyd's, it then became more, you would then leave on time, things weren't done. So that kind of changed eventually. But for a few years of my life, bear in mind I was there for 10 years, I spent a lot of my time there, and it did cost me time with my ex-girlfriends. It cost me time seeing friends and family, and it cost me time watching various football matches. And you would think, Banks, 9 to 5 at the time, how on earth are you missing a game at 7:45 in the evening? Trust me, it happened. So, to jump more to where I was a year ago, over that course that weekend, I suddenly became very nervous, very stressed, and to a point where I've never been at that level before. And I changed my tone of voice. It became very high pitched, very nervous, very childlike. And I phoned in that day to say that I'm not feeling very well. I can't see things properly. I'm not sleeping properly. I feel very exhausted, stressed, worried, concerned, whatever. And a person on the phone who said to me, was a nice guy, said to me, "That's fine, no worries, just let me know what's the latest is happening." Okay, fine, cool, thank you. So I went to the doctors that day, and within 20 minutes of having a discussion about what I was doing and who I was and what it was all about, I unveiled to my doctor, who was then only the third person I'd unveiled this to, I had unveiled my PTSD issues to a member of family 5-6 years ago, who reassured me and calmed me down and said, "Look, try and forget it. I think you're bigger than this. It happened a long time ago. Try and move forward." Not bad advice. At the time, I had told my ex-partner, and she was very much like, "Wow, this is quite a big deal." And then only weeks later, after telling her this, or a few months later, suddenly it became more apparent to me that I had started to open myself up to this exposure that I felt very vulnerable on. And in that appointment, the doctor said to me, "Are you on any kind of antidepressant?" I said, "No, I don't believe in tablets. I believe in pills." Yeah. She said to me, "I think you need to go on some sort of antidepressant because you're very, very depressed and your anxiety levels are off the chain." I said, "I'm not used to hearing this." And of course, I was very vulnerable, very shaky, crying a lot, very upset, very emotional. And long story short, after a couple more visits to the doctors and stuff, I then went on antidepressants on September the 1st, 2019. After a couple of weeks from August to September, my vision didn't get any better, and I couldn't see, couldn't drive, couldn't watch football, couldn't watch the NFL, nothing. And over time it was getting better in my right eye. My left eye was still very, very cagey, but at one point I had literally all this vision here in your vision all blacked out, and all I could see was peripheral, and I couldn't see a lot. This was for a matter of weeks. So when I then got my vision almost getting back to some sort of normality, my right eye was a lot stronger, my left eye was still having an issue with it, I went back to work and I was greeted with a dismissal. Now, I found that very bizarre because I hadn't been at work for the last 2 months, and I didn't understand why I was going through a dismissal, because I've only been there a matter of months and haven't had any kind of indication of the way I understand dismissals to work is you have to provide feedback, evidence, paperwork, and document meetings to sort of say that you need to be told that you are not performing, as an example, or you are causing upset amongst team members, or gross misconduct, or stealing something, whatever. It could be anything. And I wasn't greeted with any of this sort of stuff. And it was just amazing. He greeted to me on a Wednesday afternoon, October the 10th. And at this point, when I had the meeting, it was literally 10 minutes in, and I started to bawl my eyes out in tears, because I was so confused as to why I was being put in a dismissal process. I never had this before happen in my life. I was very confused, very worried, very, very disturbed. And long story short, the information was read out to me. Not going to read it out because it's not in my interest to read it out. But when it was read out to me, I was very I felt like I had committed this issue, or I had done this problem, or I'd actually been doing what was written on black and white. The funny thing was, I say funny because it's not really funny, it's disturbing, but the amusing thing was for me was that when I was challenged with all these accusations and stuff that had been against me, you could never meet a guy more innocent in his life, because I was in a banking environment for 10 years and I never had anything like this happen to me before. So why would it suddenly happen now? So After having that meeting, after having a breakdown in it as well, and I saw my parents in the corner laughing at me. I remember that very well. My sister and her partner came to pick me up from where I was, and when I left the room, the entire team that I was meant to be a part of was peering over the desks, seeing what had happened, and it was very much like I was walking out of there for the last time, and I knew straight away in my head, even if this case is not even proven as innocent, there's no way I can walk back into that team. So my life was very much over. I couldn't go to work anymore to take away the stress of life, and it was a very disturbing time for me. The funny thing was, when I was accused of these various things and asked for information about evidence and people's names, they refused to give people's names. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to unveil what happened, who it was, when it happened, and times and dates. And then eventually I got times and dates. And when they greeted me with a certain time and date on a certain Monday at 6:30, I'd actually left the office at 3:30. So therefore I knew straight away, this team is not here to help me. They're not backing me. They're not supporting me. And I knew they weren't going to support me anyway. And when I heard that information, I thought, wow. So the good thing is now I know I'm innocent. But the way you've delivered the case to me is that you're going to do it on a base of employment rights, because I've been less than 2 years. And also you're going to put me in a position like this because you just don't want to support me. You don't think I fit in. And that's where my mental health struggled massively, because of course at this point when I was going through this process, of course not knowing what happens next, I became very suicidal, to the point of where I held a glass of water with various tablets inside, and I was ready to drink the glass of water with the tablets and just say I'm done with life, because I learned from a young age the timeline of life, right? You're born, you're a child, you're a teenager, you're an adult, driving license, job, house, get a decent girlfriend, get married, have kids, be a grandparent, retire, die, right? Not a too distant, that's not an inconsistent trend of what the timeline looks like in some respects. Marriage, couldn't be less interested in it. Kids, don't want them. Therefore, the only thing I had to live for now was death. Because all the things I wanted to do in life had already been completed. Owning a house, having a long-term relationship, having good girlfriends, meeting good people, having great times, traveling the world as well. Missed that one out as well. And it was like, well, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children. And now I'm 32 and I don't have any need to kind of be here anymore. So I don't know why I'm waiting until I'm 70, because I'm done with life. That's how my mental health thought, because it's so black and white. My mindset was so black and white back then, and it still is now. But what I did notice when I had this thought process was that, well, to be honest, who would miss me right now? Now, the answer to that was very selfish, because actually there are a lot of people who would miss me. But actually, it felt in my head that I was very alone and I was very isolated. For example, I have a very close sister to me. I had a very, very supporting girlfriend next to me, her son as well, and her family behind me. But the thing is, I always felt like I was isolated from every single person. Although I was very connected with my girlfriend, she was very, very supporting and very, very, pushing me to try and be the best I could be. She's the first one that actually properly believed in me as well. My sister doesn't not believe me. She does believe in me, but she's very focused on her life and her career and her mindset, and friends around me as well. I haven't mentioned various experiences with friends I had during this August to October, November period, where I would take out my frustration on those friends, not physically or anything. I would just sort of challenge them about things they'd done in the past, and I would just drop them. My Facebook at one point had about 900 to 1,000 people on it. I deleted it to a point of 70 people, because I was so interested to see that if I delete these people, how many people actually would re-add me or notice I'm gone? And guess how many people added me? None. So all these examples to the suicide trend or process felt strong. It felt right. It felt like it was the best thing for me to do. And I thought, okay, let's give this a go then, because I feel like I don't want to be here anymore. I'm now on antidepressants. I felt that was a loss in life. I felt I was isolated from people. And I have forgot to mention something very important. When I was on my absence from work for those 6-7 weeks, I spoke to the health and well-being of all things department and said, look, I've got a holiday booked in October to go to New Orleans. My doctor has said that I can go because my vision wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it was okay. She said, I think you could do with a break, going away somewhere and doing something different. It might make you feel better. Fine, okay. Spoke to my being team, like, yeah, it's fine, off you go, see you later. So no one mentioned to me that there was a dismissal, or anything was leering or anything, or it wasn't such a good idea. And I checked the wellbeing team and say, are you okay with that? Like, yeah, it's fine, go. I was like, okay, fine. When I went there, I went with a member of family, and he said to me on several occasions, we'll talk about a lot, we'll get things out, we'll iron some stuff out for you, and we'll try and work a few things out. That entire holiday, none of that came up. Now, he'll have his reasons for what he thinks and what I believe, and since that holiday, we've not spoken once, and to be honest, don't miss him. He said to me at some point either that I am a social retard. He also mentioned to me that how I haven't been dismissed in my life from any working environment is beyond him because I'm so useless and I have so many things I need to work on. And basically, it was a put down session. And he actually said to his brother, who I spoke to in various times after this, about that I was just difficult, wouldn't go anywhere, wouldn't do anything. Well, actually, the funny thing was, I had plans on the Wednesday of that holiday to go somewhere. I rearranged it for one of his friends and one of my friends as well to have arranged because it happened to be his birthday. I met his family and had a birthday meal with them. It was really nice, really cool, and it was a great evening. He didn't say more than 3 words to me the entire evening, which was very bizarre. And when I left, the lad gave me and my member of family a lift home to our various spots where we were staying. And me and the lad who was his birthday, me and him had a good hour conversation after my member of family had left. And it was a very interesting conversation, to say the least. I'm not going into detail what it was, but it was interesting how he and I thought certain things were happening. And because the member of family wasn't in the room anymore or in the car, we had a very interesting conversation, and it was very interesting to see what he thought about things and how I thought about things. And it was very interesting, things that were kind of said and we discussed. And it made him realise that actually the person you're seeing here isn't actually what you see. And it's very interesting that you don't see the real person. And I know the real person very well. And not to make it too confusing, me and this lad had a conversation for a good hour or so, and we started to realise things that we were led to believe were actually not true. So there's a lot of lies, a lot of dismissal, a lot of lies, and a lot of interesting things we discussed. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I'll try and move forward from this because I'm rambling a little bit. But anyway, so once that happened, it started to make myself realise that actually, am I the root cause? Am I the real problem? And the answer is no, I'm not the problem. And as I got back to England, when I then met up with my ex-partner at the time from the airport, we spoke for a while about various things and what the next steps were. And I bought a little kitty cat called Sammy, who I have had in my videos before. And he was amazing for me. He was really calming and nurturing and supportive, and very much, he was literally attached to me almost like a kitten to a cat mother. But even he started to wear off me a little bit, and I was thinking, well, my sister's here, she'll look after you and stuff. And nothing I had in my life was very much like, my responsibilities started to become almost zero. And when you've got no responsibilities to yourself and you're challenged with these work issues and stuff, it makes you think that, wow, there is a few things I need to really kind of like take on, or do I have the ability to take them on? And the answer was no. I felt so useless, depleted, defeated, lost, gone, just done with life. And I reached out to a few people, got not a lot in return. And it then came the day where the glass of water was on the table, the pills were on the tap, the glass ready to be had, and I got a phone call at 3:07. And had that phone call come in at 3:10, I would have been dead. And it was my old union from Lloyd's Bank, of all people. And when they said to me, "Oh, hi, how are you doing today?" I said, "Well, to be honest, I'm about to take my own life, so I wouldn't worry about the phone call." The reason for their phone call was because I'd actually been paying a direct debit to them by still being what they thought was a member of Lloyd's Bank. So they actually thought I was still a member of Lloyd's when I wasn't. And I was overpaying the premium per month. Long story short, that's what their phone call was all about. They said, "Oh, well, have you gone somewhere else? We can always represent you." And I thought, well, to be honest, I'm going for a case right now. But as it's a case that you guys aren't aware of and you probably rep me off your system, you probably won't take any interest in it, because why would you? This person, bless her heart, literally, I could feel her on the phone. She was shaking. I could the tone of her voice was very much like, okay, this is not an average conversation. She must have been new, because let's face it, there's no way an experienced member of staff would have had that mentality. Maybe they did, I don't know. But it felt she was new, and I thought, hang on, that's a bit selfish, better just draw back here. And I sort of said, well, look, I appreciate your phone call, but like I say, my interest in surviving the rest of this life is kind of redundant. At this point, her manager came on the phone. And when the manager on the phone spoke to me, she made me aware that it was advisable that I went away from the room I was in, sat in a different room, and said to me, "Look, I'm going to make calls to our directors tonight. Can you promise me that you don't do anything, irrational, And regardless of this case, I'm going to put a case forward to say, can we represent you? Because it sounds like we need to, because if we don't, you're not going to be able to survive life. And I went, well, that's absolutely right. I mean, I'll give life a go if you think you've got a case, because when you have a case that's put in front of you, you automatically think you're guilty. You automatically think that the accusations put in front of you, because in black and white, you read it and it's like, well, it must be true. Because you don't read something and go, it must be a lie. Like, people read tabloids all the time. It's all nonsense. But the thing is that people believe it. So I was able to believe these thoughts on this black and white written down information was true. Anyway, the following day, I was then phoned by the manager of this department, and the chief executive of this union had said, yes, we will represent you. We'll make sure that this case is taken forward properly. We'll analyse it. We'll look at the ways forward, and yada, yada, yada. And the funny thing is, when I was presenting a case now with people behind me about this, suddenly the dismissal process became like, oh, well, we'll look to review it and we'll look to have a conversation about it. And I thought, interesting. So now you're kind of backing up rather than putting it forward. So when someone murders someone, right, when they do that horrendous act, they are guilty, okay? And of course, if attempted murder, you're still guilty. But when this was put forward to me, it was very much, oh yeah, this dismissal, there's no way to discuss it. So you can't greet someone with a dismissal like that. You have to have evidence backing and various meetings in the past to prove, and disciplinary process of level 1, 2, or 3, something like that. You can't just instantly go dismissal. But they did. And of course, this is when they start realising, oh right, he's not part of the union of our company, so therefore we've got him by the, like that. And when my union represented them, suddenly it was like, oh, well, maybe we can, and I was like, oh, right, so now you're backing up a little bit. So when someone commits murder, if someone then backs their case, say, oh, we don't think he's guilty, the judge doesn't go automatically, oh, well, yeah, fair enough, got backing, that must be fine, don't worry about it. No, you're still guilty, or you're still going to go for a process, but you need to realise that actually you may not be guilty. And the funny thing is, actually, when I thought I was in this state of mind, this position I was in, I felt like I was, because this dismissal goes through your head all day. So when the union who represented me came up with a case and a process moving forward, funnily enough, I was allowed to resign with a clean reference, a full wage packet, all my holiday I paid up front, and that was all okay. I thought, right, so actually this whole case was complete nonsense. Had you just said to me on the October the 10th, after my absence, and said, you know what, we don't think it's working out, we know you're not on probation, what we're going to do, we're going to pay you a couple of months' wages and let you go, I'd have just walked. Because I thought, I'm not fitting in here. And so the funny thing was, the amount of times in that team where I made funny jokes or comments or things like that, and other people make them before me, and people find them funny, and then I did the same thing, and people would find, like, oh, that's not funny. It's like, yeah, I'm not fitting in here. And my trainer was the only one on my Facebook at the time, and funnily enough, once deleted, I noticed that the amount of information that they knew about who I was suddenly stopped, because they couldn't find out what I was up to. So thanks for that. And yeah, the minute I struck that person in the eyes on my first day or first couple of days, the look on that person's face was like, oh, I don't like you. And I went straight away, you're a threat to me, because I'm a threat to you. You think I'm a threat to you, and I'm not. And my personality is very bubbly, it's very chatty, it's very enthusiastic, it's very happy, it's very in people's faces. And unfortunately, that is just who I am. And the funny thing was, this timing as well, with my mental health going down, like it was. I wasn't very clear up mental health anywhere near 14 months ago, or over a year ago, roughly, sorry. And I then started to realise that my mental health condition was very strong and very serious. And of course, being in a company like you are, when mental health is an issue with someone being off ill, you need to address it properly and realise this person is suffering mental health illness. Do you know something quite amusing? I was greeted with that dismissal on Mental Health Week last year. So that makes you realise just how interested they are at supporting mental health. Yeah. So that is one bomb box that I'm going to drop, because there are several more coming. And like I said, I'm going to journey back from recent times backwards. And at the moment, that is one that results in my previous role. And there are going to be a few more dropped in the near future, which are going to be related to more recent examples. And I've got them all written down. This is my time to make people aware that no matter how bullied, how upset, how down, how victimized, how targeted you felt, you need to open up, expose these people, and make them aware that this is not on. The good news is now is my mental health is a lot stronger than where it was. I am no way near an okay patient. I'm nowhere near recovered. And to be honest, people who are close to me said to me, you may take years to get over these issues because you've bottled them up for the best part of almost 2 decades. Yes, 2 decades when I was a child. Trust me, that one is going to hit people very hard. And people who know me very well are going to be very shocked when that one comes out. That's the last one I'll deliver. But I've been suffering from my conditions for years, and I have no mother or father in my life. They're not interested in me. I had members of family who were meant to be close to me, and when my sister last year opened her heart to say, can someone support me? Can someone make the event? Can someone help me? My own personal technical family were like, oh, I'm busy. Yeah, I like that little bit of silence there hit someone, and the expression on your face will now sit there and going to go, what? Yeah, it happened. So my sister then called family friends of mine who are very close to me and very good to me as well. And they supported me through the process and really tried to stick by me and, support me through that dismissal process. And then, of course, getting found that everything was okay and I could wear my head held high and not have any references on my records to go, oh, yeah, this guy's got this issue. Seriously? If you believe it was that much of a dismissal process, you wouldn't have let me go without any hesitation. You would have made that case go the further distance. And you could argue, oh, you had mental health issues. I had mental health issues before you even started this dismissal process. Don't give me that nonsense. I'm fully aware of what condition I was in August, September, and October. And then November, you're like, oh, well, we'll let it go. Nah, because you knew full well your bang to rights. The only benefit you had was that I had 2 years in a company, less than 2 years. Therefore, you knew my employment rights were almost zero. So any solicitor or lawyer would have never had a case against me because I've got only less than 6 months, in the company. So I was always going to have to go anyway. But to dismiss me in that way was a sign of you didn't really know how to support me properly, did you? You just took everyone's opinion who you could gather information up and go, yeah, we're going to slap this at you and see how you react. You wanted me to resign, but you couldn't do it like a civil person. You had to do it in an attacking, demeaning, despicable way, and that ain't on. That ain't good enough. So this is bomb box number 1, and this was what happened almost a year ago. And I say, I've written them all down. They're all written down. So 2019, when that happened, trust me, that was a big part of my life. And I'm exposing it now because I have even made contact, I've even seen these people who are in my old team in the street, in a car, in a shop, and they look at me with a look of like, oh, it's that evil, hideous individual who we don't like. I went, what is it you don't like about me? I didn't make one offensive comment to anyone, didn't make one derogatory comment to anyone, didn't make any direction of wanting to upset people because I was working with a couple of guys who I really liked and really got on with well. And it was never addressed to me or put to me as like a big issue. And long story short, it hasn't ended up in the right way. I have had to walk away. I have had to start again in life. And it's been very, very tough for the last 12 months, to say the least. It's been very hard to get my confidence back up. But I have found a way forward. I do believe running is a big part of my mental health support. People around me now who are on my Instagram, who are new people, who are people I've known before, and people I know from my past who are good people, and they're looking at me and they're going to me, oh, we're really happy for you. There's people who I've worked with, people who I've known, played football with, and they're all behind me. And now there's new people I'm getting as well, like I mentioned before. People across the country, people across the continent, and people across the world who are interested in knowing what I'm up to and what I'm doing because they see me as a positive part in their process. And the reason I've raised this first bomb box is I've called it just a bomb box. I'm going to call it the threat bomb box because the threat is what I think that I am to other people. So people who can't deal with who I am find me a threat and find a way to push me down, put me down, and move me aside because they know in their own heart of hearts that my positive energy and my positive mindset, they can't even get to 1% of that. And I appreciate my 100% happiness and well-being mentality is very, very high. It's like 1,000% maybe, but you can't even get to 1% of 1,000. And you know that, so you rather put people down and not build them up because you find them a threat. There are people in my life who I've known many, many years. For example, Paul Cannell. I've known him for almost 10, 12 years of my life. And he has friends who I know who suffer from the conditions that I suffer from, and he accepts them. He is one person who's always stuck by me. Kalpesh is a friend of mine. He owns a store in Norwich and he has his own business. He's had a child this year. He's got a great wife and a great life. He reached out to me. He helped me because he saw that I'm not a threat. I'm a nice guy who's got nice attitudes and good positive beliefs. Quinn Gomez is another one. Matthew Giles is another one, and his girlfriend. Daniel Brown is my housemate, another one. People like that, and Dave Burgess, who's reached out to me. And there are a few other people as well, I probably missed as well, and do forgive me, I haven't missed you out. But the new people I've met, for example, on Instagram, people like Sarah, people like Matthew Rushton, who are now looking up to me, people like Jess Wharton, who's got me, Stephen Gigley, who also I met her through him as well. And there are other people as well I've spoken to as well. And these people in my life are coming into it thinking, if they see this, they'll think, are you serious? Because they won't believe it. Some of them know already, the ones mentioned at the start, know the situation, but some people don't. And I'm making this aware to people because the reason I am raising these issues is because I feel it's time to unveil and start putting out there how my message is and what I'm all about. And I'm not going to let this rest. I want, to people to realise that if you are in a position like I have been in, like I was last year, and like I've been in for my life, there is a way out. People are there to support and help you. Like I've said already, Paul Cannell, Kalpesh, Matthew Giles, and the new people I'm meeting as well, who are meeting in my life, like for example, Sarah and Jess and Stephen Gigley and Matthew Rushton, I'm going to be helping, who's the powerlifting champion and that sort of stuff like that. You don't get that kind of recognition if you're not approachable, not nice, and not a nice guy, and not someone who wants to help people. You don't. But people who are wanting to assist people, help people, and really know people, and really, get that out there. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a mental health diagnostician. I'm nothing. I'm just an average guy who has time for people and will listen to people and give people time. The anger and the emotion now coming out of my system now is the anger and frustration I've not been able to air for 33 years of my life. I've had to keep it all stum, all in my head, not disclose it. And now I'm thinking, do you know what? It's time to come out. And guess what? There's more to come. So this is video number 1. I'm calling it the threat bomb box of what I am to other people. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to this today. And like I say, there is more to come. See you guys later.